Is there anyone else wishing to be heard on this?
I'd make a motion, we approve the application.
3 years.
So period of 3 years?
Period of 3 years.
Yes. Second. All in favor? The application granted.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Application number 387-23, Glenn and Melanie Mastroberti. Permission to leave pool patio having side yard of 2 feet and rear yard of 4 feet instead of required 6 feet each. Shed having side yard of 1 foot instead of required 2 feet. And shed having side yard of 1 foot instead of required 4 feet. And I understand that's supposed to be corrected. That second shed is actually supposed to be a driveway, I think, having a side yard of 1 foot instead of 4 feet. Residence B District, east side of South Chicot Avenue, 221.03 feet north of Merritt Street, West Islip.
How are you?
Good.
I'm Mastroberti, Melanie Mastroberti,
Please give your address to,
529 South Chicot Avenue, West Islip, New York.
thank you. Is there any questions from the board on this?
You're going to make a motion to amend the call?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that okay? The second shed was supposed to be a driveway having a side yard, it's right here, of 1 foot instead of required 4 feet.
Yes, so we'll take a motion, I'll take a meeting to agenda call the meeting, please.
I'd make that motion.
I'll second that. All in favor? You only got the one shed.
That's correct.
Okay. And we're making, the motion was to amend it so that we're talking about the driveway instead of the second shed.
Correct.
Any other questions from the board?
No.
Randy, you have any comments on this? Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this application? Okay, I'll take a motion now on the application.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to grant.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application is granted.
Thank you.
Application number 388-23, John Kerrigan. Permission to leave shed having 13 feet behind the front line of the dwelling instead of required 20 feet. Residence AA District, west side of Hampshire Road, 90 feet north of 7th Street, Bay Shore.
Good evening, John Kerrigan, 972 Hampshire Road. I'd like to get permission to leave the shed where it currently resides, which is 15 feet from the face of the home and behind the fence line.
Mr. Kerrigan, this is a vinyl shed.
Yes, it's a 7x8 low profile.
I'm looking at the overhead.
Yep.
And it looks like you can, this one is taking, just move it straight back, 7 feet from the lot.
I can, but there is I park there on a boat, so it's as close as it can to keep everything on the driveway and not on the lawn. So I would easily just move it back, but I don't want to just keep sliding it back and forth. I just want to be in compliance. You can't even see it from the street.
How did you end up with?
I went to put in another permit for a pool work I had done, and they needed this corrected first so they could move forward with permitting backyard pool.
You have a pool installed, is that?
It was installed, so finalizing some.
So you have 13 feet instead of 20.
It's actually 15.
If you know how big it is,
Excuse me.
we have 13. You go by default. That's
Yeah, I guess they scaled it off of the survey. I have to fish the measure it. So
I'm sorry, who's the bed?
they is I presented a survey, so I don't know where the 13 feet came
Are
from.
you saying it was at the zoning board where?
Probably, yeah.
No. The zoning denial is written in the building department, and then the zoning denial is brought to the zoning board. But it is a very difficult point to measure to in electronic drawing because it doesn't really exist. You can amend it to 15 if you're comfortable with it.
We may not have to, I'm just wondering, this is one of those situations where the applicant can comply. It's not like you have a 100-year-old oak tree.
You're correct. I could comply and slide it, 5 feet, but then, to fit a boat or a car back there like that I've been doing, I'd have to slide it back, and I don't want to kind of not only not comply, or just be kind of.
So in the photo, there's a boat in the back.
Correct. So the trailer is basically against the shed, and then the boat is actually hanging over the.
Where is it relative respect to the boat? Behind it or?
Can I step forward to take a look at the photos you're looking at?
The photos
How much?
better than,
How much?
All right, so it's in front of the boat.
Literally. We have this technology.
Yes.
Across the me, it's
State of the art.
this is the shed?
Thank you.
And also, photos.
Yeah,
Oh, I see,
Got
there's the
photos.
shed. Oh, and there's the boat.
it's a good-looking shed.
Nice boat, nice shed, nice house. The
So
car I
what
like too.
So what you could do is you could put the boat closer and put the shed behind the boat.
Well, that would be more than.
What kind of boat is it?
24.
Nothing over.
Rinker.
Absolutely.
All right, is there any more questions from the board on this? Planning have any comments? No, is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this application? Okay, we'll take a motion.
Yeah, I'd make a motion, we approve the application.
All in favor? All right, yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Only because we like the boat.
I like the sheds.
All right. we like the shed.
Application number 389-23, Thomas and Kimberly O'Malley. Permission to maintain corral in front yard when permitted only behind the rear line of the dwelling pursuant to Town Code Section 12-27A4 and 12-28. Residence AA District, south side of Allwood Avenue, 136.57 feet east of Deer Path Road, Central Iceland.
Please state your name and address.
James Gallagher, 215 Allwood Avenue, Central Iceland, New York. Here on behalf of Tim and
I'm sorry.
Tom, I'm here on behalf of Tom and Kim O'Malley. I leased the property.
Oh, you lease it,
Yes,
so you're the tenant at the property?
yes.
So you keep the corral in the front of your house.
It doesn't fit in the back. It's been like this for 25 years, and it's been previously permitted. I do have permits in the past for this item. It doesn't fit in the back. You know, it's,
What is this where the corral is?
Yeah.
Here? Okay. And what is this over here? Is that connect? Okay. This is pretty horsey territory. How many horses do you have? Oh, I see. Actually, I don't think that's so bad looking having the corral. No. How many horses do you have in the corral?
one at a time generally. It's just like for an exercise area. There's
You and the
always,
horse.
excuse me?
For you and the horse.
Oh,
The park is for me.
Right.
Generally, whenever a horse is exercising, there's a person there. The horse is never left there unattended.
You need to make.
And basically, the training area or the exercise area is manicured whenever they're done.
Let me ask a question. What would the horse?
What with the horse? The horse loves to exercise.
Okay.
The horse needs to exercise.
yeah.
Right there.
Is there anyone else here that'd like to be heard on this application?
I have some neighbors who are in favor of it.
Okay, Mr. Gallagher, if you could just let this gentleman behind you speak.
Richard Fleischman, I'm a neighbor right across the street at 252 Allwood. So I'm directly across from James.
Do you have a horse?
I do.
And is it in the front or the back?
Well, this is kind of odd because the house is in the middle of the property. So we have a big open area in the front. I was before the board a couple of months ago, and you guys were very, very favorable to our
Do the horses
plans.
know each other?
Yeah, they shot at each other across the road.
Do they horse?
All right, that's enough.
Well, there's no further record that we have no opposition.
I would say that, you know,
You want the corral where it is?
yeah, and the only time I've seen them out there is when they're exercising their horse. The horses don't live out there. They have their own spot behind the house.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like, do you have anything else to say, sir?
No, thank you.
All right, anyone else who would like to be heard on this application? Please step up.
Good evening. Susan Pellegrino, 85 Deer Path Road, Central Islip. Sure, Pellegrino. I am not in favor of the corral where it is placed in the front. This is a dramatic departure from the nature and character of this neighborhood. This rests right against the road. There's no setback. This parcel was downzoned. This was an acre parcel downzoned many years ago, 1974. It was also already a unique piece of property that unfortunately should have never been downzoned, but it was, and now it's back up to 1 acre. It just doesn't fit. There's nothing against the horses. There's plenty of other area for them to exercise. The entrance to the state park preserve is literally 25 feet away.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Again, I'm kind of, we're fact finding.
Sure.
I mean, I look at this and I see, if they didn't have a horse, it's just a nice open area with a white rail fence and green grass. What is it is it the horse?
No, not all.
Again, I understand
Yeah.
as a former board member here, you now the surrogate. That a fence, a corral without a horse is just a fence. So without a horse, it's a fenced in front yard. What is it that, I mean, if he didn't have the horse, he could have this, just as it is.
What do you mean he could just have this?
I mean, I'm sorry.
What-
It's just a railed fence on.
But why would someone put a railed fence, clear that amount of
I
property?
know what I'm saying is, but
Yeah.
you have. So I'm saying, if he didn't have a horse, this would be permissible. He could come or notice at us. So what is it that offends you? If it's not
I guess I'm not
present-
understanding still. I'm sorry. I'm still not understanding when you're saying he could have this. What
He
is,
could have the fence. Like a lot of people have the fence.
okay.
So he can have, you see what I'm showing?
Yeah, no, I
He could
understand what you're
have- I'm
saying.
sorry, I shouldn't
Yes.
have used.
Yeah, but right, he could have a fence, but a fence would be maybe in front of vegetation and landscaping and not just an open dirt.
It's legal, if the horse flew away, this could stay, he doesn't need us.
It's
It's in the
supposed, if
front-
it's higher than 4 feet, it's supposed to be set back 15 feet from.
Behind the
primary
rear, it's supposed to be in the rear of the property, isn't that?
No, he could have
That's a
a
corral
fence
setback,
Okay,
in the property, perhaps it could have to be a foot lower, but it's open, or set back another. It probably complies, or it's very close to it. So what I'm saying is, the way it exists, if he didn't have a horse, the applicant could have this legally, doesn't need a fence. The only thing that makes it, that he has to come before the board is it's now considered a corral.
Okay.
There's a horse there. So it's not the presence of the horse. I just am trying to figure out why you're opposed to it, it's just a fence. I mean, he could put a camper there, he could put 3 boats, broken trailers, I mean, we see everything. This looks like just a nice pasture. I'm trying to find out what.
I don't see it that, it just doesn't look, there's, every other resident is, has a front yard and a side yard that's maintained and not a corral. I mean, again, I don't know how else to interpret that. It doesn't, in my opinion, fit in with the nature and the character.
Let me
And
ask
this-
you this question. We've had testimony, it's been there for 20 years, though. So how is this now affecting the nature and character of the neighborhood? It's been there for 20 years.
Right, so the owners don't live there, so they're not being impacted by it. I don't know, the owners don't live there, and it wasn't a concern until other circumstances arose where they needed to come before the zoning board of appeals. Nope,
But this is
Well-
a horse area, right? I know, we know
it's,
been
you know what,
around park
it's
area.
a residential single-family zoned area. That's what it is. I've lived there for over 40 years. People have had horses, and now people seem to have a lot more horses that don't seem to be for their own purposes. But that's, yeah.
A few months ago.
Any other
It's an
questions?
awkward piece of property. It's an awkward piece of property. And so the corral should be in the back. That's the purpose of it. It should be in the back.
And that's your objection,
This-
is that it's in flat.
It's, yeah.
Is there anyone else?
Everybody else has corrals in the back.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd
Thank
like
you.
to be heard on this?
Good evening. My name is James Patrick Gallagher Jr. I'm the son. I'm also the owner of the two horses and owner of the Forum Gallagher Show Stables. But that's just a show name that I show under. These two horses that are there, one of them is a professional competition horse. Specifically, for example, I'll use the Hamptons as an example. That horse competes in the Hampton Classic every year. These horses are not for the amateur rider to go into a trail park for someone that does not know. These riding rings are specifically for lunging and exercising and light riding, so that these horses do not need to be trailered off property 4, 5, sometimes 6 times in a week, depending on the nature of if there's a show that weekend. The other one is truly my personal horse that will be going to Cowtown, New Jersey this year. We'll be going to PA this year to Jonestown for competitions. Have you ever seen the show Yellowstone? That's what we do off that horse with the roping and the cow sorting. That's what I do. These horses are not your amateur horses that you see 2 dozen, 3 dozen horses coming down our street. These horses are strictly performance horses. They do not, yes, they can go in the park, but if you take away this ring, this is something that would have kept us from moving in the area in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know that you're helping yourself by admitting it's being used for business purpose. in a
No, it's a
residential
show. It's not for business. It's showing. So to go compete, I'm not competing for money. I'm just
Okay.
competing for placement.
Is it English or Western?
I do English. My girlfriend competes the Grand Prix hunter at the Hamptons in English, where I do only Western.
You know, we've heard testimony about the neighbor across the street who I believe came in and testified, but it's my understanding that there was heavy screening done on that ring when that was approved. I mean, is there anything you can do as far as to make this a little more aesthetically pleasing or something of that nature?
When you say screening, do you mean?
Vegetation, bushes, things of that nature.
I'll allow him to answer that. That's more on his departure. I'm just the rider.
Is there anything else, Mr. Gallagher Jr.?
Not at all.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Gallagher Jr.?
The place is, professional landscape. Actually, we're just in the process. We took out some beach weeds, which I thought didn't fit the neighborhood, and we're planting some apple trees across the front. We just planted several apple trees and pear trees on the eastern side, and we landscaped that area. Yes, I do plan on doing across the front of the road. Between the street and the fence, we're going to be planting some more apple trees to make it look better, I think. And as far as it not fitting, it's a corral in a horse neighborhood. It fits perfect.
But not that, it sounds very nice, but you seem to be describing the town right of way then that you're going to plant in. And I just noticed from the photo, the overhead wires are pretty low.
That's why I went with apple trees. I can keep them low, not grow up into the trees like the rest of the neighborhood has that problem.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be the screen that the board member was asking you about. It's not an
Well,
evergreen.
if there's something else they desire, I would do it, but I don't want it to grow up into the wires either, because that is under the wires.
Deirdre, could you do us a favor? Could you take us to Street View and rotate?
Yeah, we just took out those beach weeds that were there.
We're
How high
looking,
is the fence?
we're looking for the north
4
side,
feet?
the one that we approved recently.
I love the bushes that Richie has across the street, but they're too tall. I wish I could plant those, but they would go right up into the wire. Who's against cedars or whatever?
Well, they'd only go in the wires if you planted them in the town right away. If you planted them on your own property, they wouldn't go into the wires.
I could put some arborvitae's or something that doesn't grow as tall. I have no problem
Well,
with
then
that.
it would be similar to what we granted across the street.
Exactly the same thing.
That's all we
Looks
can do.
like they did
And that's it.
a pretty good job of screening it in.
Excellent job.
So you could do something similar to that
Yes, I have no problem.
on your property, not
Yes.
right away.
And every
2-year
intention
permit.
of doing it anyway.
Time with the permit.
Right.
So you'll be back before us.
So I have a question for you that's a little bit different. The zoning denial that you delivered from the building department mentioned the fence height is 3 feet.
I don't know why. I actually went and took a measure, tape measure, and like, why'd they say 3 feet? It's 4 feet. You can send an inspector by the measure. If it was 3 feet and you wanted it 4 feet, I would change it,
Do you know, because you probably know better than we do, does the code say it has to be 5 feet?
4 feet. I believe.
4 feet is if this were not a corral, if it were just a fence, 4 foot would be allowed on the front property line. It's not the case, though. This is a corral. And I think the reason she called it 3 feet was she was intending to say instead of the required, and I think it's 5. I think with the Faithful Farms application across the street, and maybe the applicant in that case can help, I think we granted a reduced corral height, correct? So it was reflected in the call of the meeting. 4 instead of 5? So unfortunately, that's not, if you amended that for the best, because it was our mistake.
We could amend the call then to indicate that the 4 foot high ground.
Would make that application.
Second on that?
I'd
one?
second.
All right, all in favor? All right, so the call will be amended accordingly.
Mr. Chairman, I was just speaking with, and he advised me that we had a fire building at 500 feet.
Yep.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application? No? Nope, I'm sorry.
Good evening, Jamie Siegel, Siegel, 1700 Drive, Central Islip, New York, Fox Gated Islip HOA president. I just wanted to point out that the difference between the two properties, the Faithful Farm that you approved previously, it's a much larger property and can be adjusted accordingly. This is a smaller property where it's kind of out of character. And in that neighborhood also, there are a lot of horse farms that are not in compliance, that are trying to get into compliance. We just want them to all stay within the boundaries. So it's important that the character stays the way it is. Again, it's a horse area, I get it, but just we want to make sure that the rules are enforced evenly and going forward that it's all enforced evenly. Thank you. Have a good night.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this matter? Any other questions from the board? No. Any other comment? Yeah. You went with the call. And then it's screened.
It's, Central Islip. All right, I'll make a motion that we grant the application as amended, contingent upon the applicant putting evergreen screening into the front portion of the corral to best hide it from the general public's view.
I'll second that.
All in favor? All right. Oh, and I'm sorry, and it's for a 2-year period.
2-year period of the
2-year
permit.
period. All right, all in favor? The application is granted as amended.
That's good. Application number 390-23, Benjamin and Sharon Saverin. Permission to establish two-family use only pursuant to Islip Town Code Section 68-419.1. To leave shed on-side property line not having required setback of 2 feet and driveway having front yard occupancy of 51% instead of permitted 40%. Residence AAA District, north side of Montauk Highway, 280.5 feet west of Manor Lane, Bay Shore.
Good evening. I'm Benjamin Saber.
Sharon Saban, 701 West Montauk Highway, Bay Shore, New York. We are looking, can you hear me? Sorry. We are looking to add a 1-story addition to our home for my mother. My mother's been living with us for 2.5 years now, staying in our guest room on our 2nd floor. She has fallen down the stairs several times. She is just shy of the age threshold. She's 68 instead of 70. But her doctor has written a letter. She recently broke her foot. And every time she falls down the stairs, she shaves a few years off my life. So we just thought this would be the better way to go.
Can you just address the reason for the 51% on the front?
I'm not sure because the addition is in the back of the house. So,
As far as the coverage on the front yard occupancy, you have 51% of what you're asking for instead of the statute of 40.
nobody explained it to us. We haven't made any changes to the front of the house.
Okay, it's the size of your driveway. How long has the driveway been like that?
Pretty big. It was an office before we bought it, so they did a semicircle driveway plus a whole paved area, so it's pretty big.
And that's how you bought the property?
That's how we bought it.
We did repave it, but it was just on top of the paving that was there because it was all falling apart.
The same footprint?
Exactly.
Same exact-
This is unique. We would have preferred it to be a little smaller.
Just for the record, if you could tell us a little bit about the road.
About Main Street.
27A?
Yeah.
We are directly across the street from Gardner Park.
Right.
It's a 2-lane road with a middle section for turning. We have a sidewalk in front of the house.
It's a fast highway.
What's the speed limit in front of your house?
They just dropped it to 45. Yeah.
That means everybody drives 60.
Yes.
Unless there's a school bus.
Is there any more questions from the board on this?
No, I don't have any
Planning,
questions.
do you have any comments on this? Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this application? All right, I'd like to just like to indicate in the decision about the unique roadway.
Got it.
All right. I'll take a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Application number 391-23, Salvatore and Marilyn Panetti, permission to use dwelling for two-family use only pursuant to Islip Town Code Section 68-419.1. Residence A District, southwest corner of Goodwill Lane and Grundy Avenue, Holbrook.
Denise Traparo, DTT Designs, 1165 Broadway Avenue, Holbrook, New York.
My name is Marilyn Panetti.
Sal Panetti, 36 Holbrook. Oh. Okay, well, I got Brian, good little late.
So we're here tonight applying for a two-family use for the Panettis and their daughter.
Based on age of,
Somebody's over 70.
and it's the daughter that's going to be taking the other side. Any other questions from the board?
No questions.
Comments? Does anyone else would like to be heard on this application?
I make a motion, we approve the application
For a period of 3 years.
for 3 years,
Yeah.
for a period of 3 years.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, the application's granted.
Thank you.
App- Application number 392-23, James Walsh, permission to erect one-story addition, 16 by 39.8 irregular, leaving side yard of 12.2 feet instead of required 14 feet. Residence B District, 278 Cluster, southeast corner of Greenbelt Parkway West and Glen Summer Road, Holbrook.
Denise Traparo, DTT Design, 1165 Broadway Avenue, Holbrook, New York. I'm here tonight with regards to the Walsh's property. We came before the board previously to put a whole second floor on the house. And when they got the estimates for that, they couldn't afford it. They're not here tonight because she's due to have the baby this week. And we went and we redesigned it to do a much smaller addition out the back right side of the house. And that's where we're going for the side yard variance now instead.
The variance you're asking for is in line with the rest of the house.
Yes.
Any other questions from the board?
No questions.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this application?
I make a motion, we approve the application.
Second. All in favor? The application's granted.
Thank you.
Application number 393-23, Stephen and Tara DeClue, permission to leave roofed-over entrance platform 7 by 12, having rear yard of 15 feet instead of required 25 feet, and rear yard landscaping of 15.8% instead of permitted 40%. I'm sorry, I should say required 40%. Residence A District, south side of Cedar Point Drive, 2,571.44 feet east of Gate Lane, West Islip.
Good evening. Steve DeClue, owner.
Can you address, Mr. DeClue?
Yes, we bought this house.
If you could just give your address.
6 Cedar Point Drive, West Islip.
Thank you.
Okay.
No.
We bought this house about 3 years ago from a longtime owner that had the property, I believe, 30 to 40 years. About 2 years ago, we sought and achieved a building permit from town of Islip to do a garage conversion and build the subject of tonight's hearing, the 7 by 12 open porch, essentially. We were granted that in a permit in July of 2021 and went through the process, had all the inspections done. And that structure has been done, inspected, and we were just waiting for the final approval when we were given this denial letter based on the fact that I think they must have looked at the water in the back and thought that was where the bulkhead was or something. So I actually measured the distance from the closest point of the open porch to the bulkhead, and it's 18.8 feet at the closest point. On the furthest point, it's 28 feet for an average of 23.2 feet. Beyond that, if you look at the survey, we also own the water that at one time was land beyond in the back of the house for approximately 50 additional feet. So over the years, the previous owner did not bulkhead in time. If she would have bulkheaded in 1972, we would have probably a 50-foot larger rear yard. So this is what we have to work with, and the bulkhead establishes the limit of our ability to do anything else. Before we, when we got there, there was an addition of the same size. A four-season room was built in the same exact location as this open porch. And we wanted to rebuild it, but ISLIP would not let us do that. And this open roofed-over structure is what they said I could do instead. And that's what we filed for, and that's what we built
Sorry, when did you purchase the property?
about 3 years ago.
And the water condition was already in that state?
Absolutely, yes.
And prior owners, what bulkhead in it? Is that-
The prior owner put in the majority of the bulkhead. There was a very flimsy bulkhead on the southeast corner of the property. And it was one of those vertical slat tar covered bulkheads that exist a lot. But in this area, we have a pounding surf, an extremely pounding surf that comes out of the southwest. And when it hits the wall,
Can I just ask a question?
sure.
Was there a bulkhead at any time, to your knowledge, on I'm looking at to my left side of the property, where you sort of drawn the triangle? Yeah. What, no, you do it for me, you know, it's right here. Was there ever a bulkhead in that area?
When we bought the property, there was a Navy bulkhead extending from as you're facing the property on the left, past the deck area. And then there was that older vertical tarred bulkhead with like 6x6 whalers.
Right.
That existed, but it was in a bad condition.
This is an issue of riparian rights, which is a difficult area of the law, so it's complicated. Yeah. I don't know if he needs a setback. It's an issue.
Any other questions from the board?
Well, that area takes a pounding and nothing grew there. We went through a few storms where the waves crashed on that bulkhead, washed over, and the salt water killed everything. So it's impossible to grow vegetation in that area. I have pictures showing waves crash. And
I know from personal experience. The southwest wind crash over, saltwater goes everywhere.
yes, sir.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this application?
My name is Frank Edwards. I live at 10 Cedar Point Drive. And the request by the applicant, and I looked directly into the chart, seems incredibly fair. I think the circumstances that bring us here are a little unfair for his part, where he went and got the permit, fulfilled all the obligations, constructed as per plans. And obviously it has nothing to do with the zoning board, but we're trying to reconcile it. It is a very small covered porch that actually the entirety of their house, including the porch, sets back from the two neighboring houses, mine and the easterly neighbor.
Which is yours?
I am the westerly house.
There you
Correct.
go.
And to answer the other part about the stormwater, is the pounding surf definitely kills all vegetation along the bulkhead. And no matter how many times you try, you end up dealing with it. But the covered porch is so limited in the context of what's there. There was, as Steve had mentioned, a structure there previously that was removed. So now you don't have an enclosed structure, you just have a covered porch, which, again, is almost like an auxiliary structure, which is of limited consequence. So from my perspective and our neighbors' perspectives, we see have no objection to what was being requested.
We didn't get any break from the southwind.
We don't get any breaks from anyone. You get it from the east, you get it from the west, you get it definitely coming in from the south.
And the winds are only getting stronger.
Correct.
Oh, here we go.
All right.
Tough living on the water.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this application? Any other questions from the board?
No, I have no further questions.
Take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to grant the application.
Second,
All in favor? We just in the decision, just indicate the uniqueness of the property in relation to the back.
Also discuss riparian rights.
Riparian.
I know the tree is McCabe, but not riparian rights.
The application is granted. Thank you very much.
Application number 266-23, adjourned from April 11, 2023, Eaton Simpson and Mendel Raphael. Permission to leave semi-in-ground pool having side yard of 8.7 feet instead of required 14 feet. Pool equipment having side yard of 2.5 feet instead of required 6 feet. Patio having side yards of 0.7 feet and 1 foot instead of required 4 feet each. Driveway having side yards of 0.5 feet and 2.9 feet instead of required 4 feet. And front yard occupancy of 42% instead of permitted 40%. Residence A District, north side of West Lakeland Street, 150 feet west of Duke Street, Bay Shore.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Eaton Simpson. This is Mendel Raphael. We live at 27 West Lakeland Street, Bay Shore, New York, 11706.
Good afternoon. My name is Mendel Raphael. So we're just back here again because the last time the front yard was 81%, and then we cut down from the update survey. Now the front yard is 37%, and now we just have to follow the rest of the application.
So you want to proceed with this part of the application and come back next time when you want to ask for that roofed over patio that got built in the back?
I had received, because I had two applications, one for the pool and one for canopy. So I just get the denial for the canopy. What happened is Cassie was the one who get the application for the pool, and then Elisabeth get the application for the canopy. Now the Elisabeth give me a denial letter with the same problem Cassie already had from the previous denial letter. So just make everything a little bit confused. I don't know if I have to get everything done today or if I have to come back for now the pool, the side yard, the patio, and the canopy, because the front yard we already work on it since the date we came from here the last time.
Do we have a?
So the pool got built at 8.7 feet? Is that?
Yeah, 8.7 the pool.
Oh, but we had that. We were addressing that in the public notice that
Yes,
was for
and
this hearing.
the second denial letter from Elisabeth, she had the pool again and she had the patio with the canopy.
Okay. Okay, so you just received that denial today, so we can amend the call of the meeting to include it. So I would think that we should just proceed on these, and then they have to come back again, because we've already adjourned it once.
Okay. So we're not addressing the pool.
oh, the canopy.
Yeah.
Or apparently a pool patio has been added. I don't know, that, it's up to you guys how
I
you want.
think what's in the calendar is granted.
It is,
Right.
because
Brought it down from 80 down to
37. We cut it down to 37 if you look at the update survey.
No, I see that.
And the patio is
So
cool.
we can grant what's.
So a pool patio has to have a side yard of 6.
We can't,
Oh.
This is
because
just-
we've got the denial there,
Okay.
and we have to publish it so the public will have it, and have a right to come in if they so choose to object.
Got it.
We can't grant the other, we will not impose.
So that means you're going to come back on the other items.
Okay. You like.
Yeah, you've been a pro, so you'll be able to do it.
Be an expedited sentence.
Right. Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this application? Any other questions from the board?
I have nothing.
No? Planning, any comments? No? All right, take a motion. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Application's granted. We understand that you'll come back on these other items. You have to apply for that. Thank you.
Application number 394-23, Kenneth Connolly, permission to establish two-family, family use only pursuant to Town Code Section 68-419.1. Residence B District, north side of Missouri Avenue, 225 feet east of Brentwood Road, Bay Shore.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Deborah Yelvington of Dynamic Permits, located at 738 Smithtown Bypass in Smithtown, New York, 11787. Agent for the owner, Kenneth Connolly. Mr. Connolly has owned this house as the original owner since 1962. The property is well kept, and as Mr. Connolly is now approaching the 80-year mark, he has some health concerns, and he would like to be approved for the two-family, family use only, so that his son may move into the lower level once it's renovated, if we are approved tonight. We have a couple of doctor notes that speak of his condition, and as well as neighbor affidavits of support that I would like to submit. I'd like to read those addresses into the record. Those neighbors that have agreed and support the application at number 151 Missouri Avenue in Bay Shore, number 154 Missouri Avenue, number 159 Missouri Avenue, and number 120 Louisiana Avenue. Yes, along with the two doctor notes on Mr. Connolly's condition. Thank you. So as I said, the property is very well kept. They're an asset to the neighborhood, very caring family. The neighbors all support them. And we feel that the second kitchen, if approved, would not create an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood. But with aging parents, as it goes, having the children live with them to help them cope kind of helps the neighborhood all together. And we feel it's not a substantial request nor an adverse impact on the environment. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this application?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Application number 646-22, adjourned from September 6, 2022. Diane Garnett, permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to Town Code Section 68-602, and to leave driveways having side yards of 0.3 feet and 0.8 feet instead of required 4 feet each. Residence A District, east side of Wilson Boulevard, 3,642.48 feet south of Kelly Avenue, Central Islip.
I am Deborah Yelvington of Dynamic Permits, located at 738 Smithtown Bypass in Smithtown, 11787. Agent for the owner, Diane Garnett. Ms. Garnett's parent, her father actually built this home, and after her father passed in 2007, Ms. Garnett took ownership of this house and has been raising her family there. Her husband has since passed at a young age, and she is now the widow in the house, looking to keep the home and have rental income of this apartment. The driveways were also created by the prior owner decades ago. There are a couple of neighboring properties right across the street or next door that have the same type of expanded driveway, and they use that to keep cars off of the street. We also have neighbor letters of support from 4 neighbors that we'd like to submit. I'd like to read those addresses in. That's the neighbor at 720 Wilson Boulevard, 727 Wilson Boulevard, 730 Wilson Boulevard, and 731 Wilson Boulevard. Ms. Garnett's very caring neighbor. She has also now a 30-year-old daughter that has recently collapsed. Months ago, we were adjourned because of that. Her daughter's been hospitalized and then in rehab, and Ms. Garnett is caring for the 2 young children of her daughter in this time. She will likely need to retire early and wanting to keep the home with some rental income so she can keep the family together and keep the home in the family. Yes. Ms. Garnett has some other conditions on the property for permit legalization that we're working on, and we're looking to, she's got a punch list of things to clear away. She's had some of the inspections done, and we're looking for this variance so that she can continue and finish legalizing and close out the permits.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Is anyone else would like to be heard in this application?
Second.
Thank you very much.
Application number 395-23, Greenview Commons West LLC. Permission to erect utility building leaving front yard of 51.7 feet and generator leaving front yard of 46 feet instead of required 75 feet each. Residence C District, south side of Sunrise Highway, 873.72 feet east of Pond Road, through lot to Bayview Road, Oakdale.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Larry Gargano, principal of Greenview Commons West, the applicant. Gargano, 5 Shore Lane, Bay Shore, New York. We're here this evening to request a variance for front yard setback. Just a little background history on this. This is a project that has gone through zoning, change of zone, building permit, and site plan approval. During the site plan approval process, the structures in question that we're here tonight to request a variance were part of the approved site plan. The front yard setback that we're dealing with is actually to a paper road. And as part of the site plan condition, the applicant ourselves was to abandon the road. So based on that site plan condition that the road needed to be abandoned, the site plan was approved without the requirement to go for a variance. When we filed for our building permit to build the utility structure, the building plans examiner through the zoning office determined that we still had a front yard setback, and therefore no, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. So the entire project was part of a change of zone, town board, planning board. After town board approval, project went in for site plan approval. As part of the site plan approval, the exact location of the pump station and generator were located exactly where they are on the plan this evening. The front yard setback that we're now dealing with is due to a paper road along the property line. As part of our site plan approval, the reason why this matter didn't come up a long time ago under site plan approval is because the site plan condition was to abandon the road. So therefore, once the road is abandoned, it's no longer a front yard and we don't need a variance. When we went to file our building permit for the structure, the zoning department through the plans examiner's office said that we still are dealing with a legal front yard, so therefore the permit application is denied. We then started the abandonment process as per our approved site plan, and the planning department and the assessor's office signed off on the abandonment, but ironically the engineering department decided that they did not want to sign off on it as of yet. This is a critical path to the development of the project, so we're trying to establish a building permit, and it was recommended that we go for a variance. It is our expectation at some point in the future, this road ultimately will be abandoned. There's no point to it. It will never be used. There's a segment of the road that has already been abandoned that goes to Sunrise Highway. So it's kind of just sitting in the middle of nowhere anyway. For whatever the reason, the engineering department recently decided against their original comment to deny the abandonment application. We met with them. Their concern was destruction of buffer in the future. We assured them that that wasn't our goal or the purpose of the abandonment. They're reviewing it, but in the meantime, we're on a critical path to pull the building permit for this particular portion of the project. Engineering doesn't have a problem with the location of the structure or the generator. They've already approved it as part of the approved site plan. The building department, just for technical reasons, was not able to process the building permit because we did not maintain a front yard setback of 75 feet. The setback from front yard that they're referring to is to a paper street. Yeah.
No. Right. Yeah, but it's almost like a fake setback. It's gonna get done. Right.
Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment on that?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Thank you. Good evening.
Application number 396-23, Jerome Brooks. Permission to leave roofed-over entrance platform 6 by 10, having front yard of 29 feet instead of permitted 40 feet, and second front yard of 9 feet instead of required 15 feet. Residence B District, southwest corner of Islip Avenue and Gray Street, Brentwood.
Jerome Brooks, 1520 Islip Avenue, Brentwood. When I bought the house 10 years ago, it was there, and I didn't know, yes. So it was there. So I'm just seeing if it can stay or I have to take it down.
You realize this?
Yeah, I promise. Never ever.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this application?
No. Aye.
Thank you.
Billy Beat.
Application number 397-23, Isidro Cordero. Permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to Islip Town Code Section 68-602. Residence B District, east side of Madison Avenue, 108 feet south of Spruce Street, Brentwood.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Isidro Cordero, 5 Madison Avenue, Brentwood, New York, 11717.
One second.
So you're going to change the driveway to comply with engineering?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I'm gonna do that. Yeah.
Okay. It has to be paid. Okay.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this application? Any other questions from the board?
Somebody walking up. Somebody walking up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
See, I don't
Sir, would you
know.
like to be heard on this application?
No, he's just sitting down.
So we had a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, application's granted, subject to engineering review.
Thank you.
Application number 398-23, Peter and Carol Schwaznick. Permission to establish legal non-conforming use of driveway on side property line and occupying 53.6% of front yard. Residence AAA District, south side of South Country Road, 79.5 feet east of East Shore Road, Oakdale.
Good evening. My name is Brian Burson of the Burson Firm PC. I represent applicants Carol Schwasnick and Peter Schwasnick, who own the property at 968 Montauk Highway, also known as 968 South Country Road. This is a petition to establish non-conforming use of the property. Based on the certificate of occupancy, we believe that 968 Montauk Highway was built no later than 1938. The entrance to the property extends to Montauk Highway itself. It is not possible to back out of the driveway due to the traffic. Before the adoption of the code section that was enacted on December 12, 2006, the Schwasnicks began to use the front yard of the property for parking. Before this date, the use was permitted as of right. The ordinance limits the amount of the front yard that can be used for parking. The Schwasnicks have used more than that amount since before the ordinance was adopted. Yes, sir.
First of all, I'm sorry it's so tall. The microphone is up. We're not screaming. Okay, just yell. The first thing is, there are 4 elements without non-conforming use, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the year that you have to prove? Yeah, it's not.
The Schwasnicks began to use the front yard for parking in that manner in 2005.
What year do you have to establish? Beyond. What year?
Well,
It's 12/12/06.
12/12/06, yes.
Okay, so 12/12/06, you have to take us back to 12/12/06 and prove, all right, prove that it was used continuously since that date. What are you?
Well, we have affidavits from 3 disinterested parties, and they are aware of the use that predated the enactment of the code section and are aware of the continuous use since that time up until the present date.
You have to read, maybe you or to read out.
Well, I have with me.
Excuse me. Get on board.
So, you have 3 affidavits.
Yes, sir.
And what years do they go back to?
Well, with regard to the parking, the affidavits go back to back to 2004. We have one witness who Cungham Brennan.
Is that an affidavit?
Yes, sir.
So you have an affidavit that goes back to, okay, Owen Brown. And I recall the premises prior to construction of the 2005 apartment yard. And then decided Owen.
Yes, sir.
What else do you have as far as?
Well, We had submitted photographs, and we had submitted metadata proving how far back it went, but I have with me today, I have the Schwasniks with me, and I have Cullum, and I have his wife here as well, and they can all attest to its continuous use.
From what date?
From 2005 into the present.
Would you like to call some live witnesses?
If you would like me to call it, yes, sir. I'd like to call Cullum Brennan. Right now. My first witness is Cullum Brennan. The first witness is one of the affiants, Cullum Brennan.
Hello, I'm Cullen Brennan. Sure. It's Cullen Brennan. It's 31 Riverview in Oakdale, New York. So we know, me and my wife, we know the Schwazniks since 2004. We met them at a party in West Islip when we used to live there. And we've remained friends with them ever since. When we started visiting them in 2004, we'd go to each other's houses. We would park in the back. And then in 2005, they started a construction project where they did a foundation and put a deck in. And during that time, and ever since, we parked in the front. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Exact size. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have no further.
Any other questions? Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this application?
Yes, there was one other part of this application that had to do with the side yard. There was a setback issue.
That's actually debatable, because if you're seeking nonconformity, then the side yards are irrelevant, because they also were imposed on 12.06.
You
So
require,
the person who wrote the zoning denial chose to leave it in just to be descriptive, but I don't think you're asking the zoning board to grant an area variance for them.
No. If you require any other evidence, please let me know.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Application number 399-23, K&C Builders, Inc. Permission to erect two-story dwelling, leaving floor area ratio of 30% instead of permitted 25%. Residence B District, southeast corner of Cherry Avenue and Olive Street, West Haven. West Haven.
Good evening, Board. My name is Ken Sorrell. I'm the owner and the builder, looking to expand the 25% FAR up to 30%. Seems like that was just about the going rate that everybody seems to be getting. I'm going to keep it at 30. SORRELL.
The regulars are all smiling.
Anyone else who would like to be heard on this application?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you, board. Have a great night.
Application number 400-23, Brian Hogan and Hillary Lessing. Permission to erect one-story addition, 26 by 26, and second-story addition, 29.8 by 55.2, leaving height of 30 feet instead of permitted 28 feet, and floor area ratio of 33.2% instead of permitted 25%. Residence B District, northwest corner of Lawrence Court and Girard Avenue, Bayshore.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Chris Ang, 93 Main Street, West Sayville, New York. We are proposing a second-story addition over the existing footprint of a one-story dwelling. We are also proposing a two-car garage along with some cantilevers and a front portico. Well, I would like 30, what do I have on here? 33.2, if the board feels generous. We don't, so.
Bring it down.
Would the board consider 29 feet and 30%?
Oh, you're saying you do 30 and give us an extra foot.
If possible, yes.
That seems like a reasonable.
Thank you.
Does anyone else would like to be heard on this application? So we're looking to amend the total meeting to height 29 feet with a floor area ratio of 30%.
That's correct.
I'd make that application to amend the call.
And we'll remove dimensions from the call so that when you adjust to lower the FAR, the dimensions are irrelevant, right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so the call's been amended. Do you have any other questions on the amended floor?
No.
A motion?
I'll make a motion that we amend the application of the minute. Height of 29 feet and FAR of 30.
And with removal of the dimensions.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
All in favor? All in favor, the application has been approved.
Thank you. Good night.
Application number 401-23, Matthew and Nicole Inachi. Permission to erect one-story addition, 6 by 23.9, leaving side yard of 10.4 feet instead of required 18 feet, and total side yards of 26.3 feet instead of required 36 feet. Residence AA District, 278 Cluster, south side of Norman Drive, 581 feet west of Elkport, Bohemia.
Matthew Innes, 98 Norman Drive, Bohemia, New York.
Mary, the cluster,
This is a cluster.
cluster, so we go down from 18 to 40.
Correct, typically.
You know that one. When we have cluster again, we go to the next row. Right? How the blade is
To egg.
ahead. And what we normally do is the cluster is have a move to do it as fire force. So really what we're doing is something here instead of 8 to 40.
14.
So that makes it look better. So we touch. So what we did was we looked at our left. There we go.
Any other comments from the board, questions from the board?
No.
Anybody else would like to be heard on this application?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the application
In favor?
as amended. Did we amend it?
No.
No, we didn't amend it. Yeah. No, it wasn't amended. So I'd make a motion that we approve the application.
Can we just reflect our attorney, can we just reflect that requester? So we don't have. Okay.
The application is approved.
Thank you.
Application number 402-23, Lawrence Finn, permission to erect deck with outdoor shower, leaving rear yard of 10 feet instead of required 15 feet, and second-story deck, leaving side yard of 8 feet and rear yard of 9 feet instead of required 15 feet each, all having floor area ratio of 41% instead of permitted 30%. Residence BAA District, east side of Pine Walk, 60 feet south of Cedar Court, Kismet.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Charles J. Brody, architect, representing the homeowners. Yeah. Yes, I spoke with planning and Deirdre, and there is precedent for the 41% FAR, correct me if I'm wrong, the 8-foot side yard setback, and close with the 9-foot rear yard setback. I believe there was precedent for 10.1. And just so the board notes, that setback is only for the staircase that needs to get up to the second floor on the deck.
The photos show that there's an existing deck there. Is it being rebuilt or is it down already?
There's existing deck on the first.
Okay, I thought I saw a photo of in our Superstorm Sandy evaluation that we did afterwards in 2013. It looks like there was a deck in that location.
I apologize. There is a second floor deck. We were already built.
You're asking to leave it?
Correct.
Don't give me up, Bill. I'd like to be a bit anonymous when I'm there. To the west, there's 3.
West White House.
Oh, east and west.
Okay. So, I think you're saying, what's that meaning?
That's land of federal government. And then comes CDEC. So we need to amend the call of the meeting to seek permission to leave?
To leave, yes,
All the decks,
correct.
everything?
Correct, yes. And just, I'm sorry, and just for the board's information, United States Department of Interior has no objection. Yes, please.
What do you mean, we?
Any other questions from the board? Anybody else like to be heard on this application? In favor?
Aye.
And let the decision reflect that it's for the staircase. 9 feet from the neighbors.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Application number 403-23, Syed Haider and Navida Abbas. Permission to erect one-story addition, 18 by 26.6, leaving rear yard of 11 feet instead of required 25 feet, and floor area ratio of 26.4% instead of permitted 25%. And to renew permit for two-family, family use only, Residence A District, southeast corner of Express Drive South and Pamlico Avenue, Ronkonkoma.
state your name and address?
Joseph Walker, 270 Ronkonkoma Avenue, Ronkonkoma, New York, 40 applicant. And I have the homeowner here as well. Well, right now, currently, there's a deck there. The deck has existed since the homeowner purchased the house a number of years ago. We've checked with the neighbors that are most affected. They have no objection to it. In addition to that, the homeowner is struggling with some medical issues, and I have a letter from his physician which is in support of moving a bedroom downstairs with a bathroom. So we wanted to accommodate his needs, which he will be continuing to receive treatment for the foreseeable future.
The deck currently is 314 square feet, that's what the CO says.
But you're removing the deck for, in place of an addition, right?
But the addition would be bigger than the current deck.
So I'm losing track. You're going to take down the deck and build an addition,
Correct.
four walls and another deck. Well, actually, two walls. Okay, so then it goes back to my original question. Now it's down to the deck. Now it's wall, what are the precedents?
To hold the 18. Right. No.
We got precedent to 17. The applicant seeking
Did we create that precedent?
If you could just speak from the, please speak from the.
From the podium.
I'm just wondering, what is the rationale, zoning? We don't have precedents. I mean, and I understand that you're saying we have to be able to replicate where it is. That doesn't sound. Look, it's a
Oh, I understand your concern. We understand your concern, and maybe in the interest of the board in the past looking favorably to help citizens and so forth, we could amend the request to have a 13-foot rear yard as opposed to an 11-foot to become as, more compliant while still meeting the needs of the homeowner.
So similarly, this house doesn't even have a rear yard of 25 feet. By our interpretation now, this house only maintains a rear yard of 17.9 at its closest point. 18.1, but neither is 25. So this south yard, south of the house, was treated as a side yard when this house was built. Yeah. So this was treated as a side yard when the house was built, because it was built at a time when the builder would decide what would be their front yard and what would be their rear yard. So the rear yard was the 25-foot dimension that you see to the east, and the south yard was considered a side yard with a minimum requirement of 14 feet. So that's how the house is constructed with a 17.9-foot yard that we are now calling a rear yard. So it's
let's say 13 feet. What would be the distance to the property? 13 feet.
Is that your question? Yeah, 13 feet. My point in telling you is that they, in terms of percent relaxation that you quoted earlier, they can't get to 25. The house isn't at 25.
Right. Not as great as you would believe.
So,
Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard on this application?
can you come any closer to the 17 feet that the board seems willing to think about?
I think 15 would be something you would have to grant. So 15, we don't even have precedent 15. We are extending our from 7. So it's being very limited.
And Mr. Wexler, you know what? Just give me one second, just 1 second.
Yeah. Can you define that term? Spell it. I want you to define and spell beneficent.
Mr. Wexler, as usual, you're convincing, charming self that we would amend the call to reflect 14. I'm sorry, we would reflect the call to show a 14-foot addition as opposed to 18 feet, which would be correct.
Okay, we're going to change it to 14 by 26.6, and then rear yard of 15.
Correct.
Any more questions from?
There's a first time for everything.
You can second.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Wexler. Thank you, members of the board.
You got
So, no more questions, I'll make a motion.
motions to amend the call? Did you do Did we amend it yet?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion to amend the call. And I'll make a motion to approve the application as amended.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Only for 3 years.
Yeah, that's a renewal. Yeah.
Floor area ratio has been, is no longer an issue.
It's small. We approved it. 26. It's 26 instead of 25. Right? Okay.
So I had a request. To take this next case last, at least until
So we're going to
So,
Polanco.
yeah, we're gonna go out of order. We're just gonna go out of order on the next application and call the 404-23 Alex Perez Polanco, Ana Pena, and German Perez Polanco. Permission to establish legal nonconforming use of attached garage conversion to livable space. Residential redevelopment district, north side of Irving Street, 287.02 feet east of Peters Boulevard, Central Islip. Is anybody here on the application? Oh, here they come. Oh, and they have witnesses. We skipped to 404-24.
Hi, hello, how are you? My name is Ana Peña, and this is Alex Pérez, and today I'm going to be translating.
Can you just give us your name and address?
Yes, I'm Ana Peña, and I live in 65 Irving Street, Central Islip, New York.
And this gentleman?
This is Alex Pérez.
He lives at 65 Irving Street.
Yes, that's correct.
I'm sorry, Ms. Pena. When did you buy the property?
4 years ago. 4 years ago.
The garage was there when you, the garage was converted, I'm sorry, when you purchased it?
Sí, el garaje estaba ahí, estaba todo hecho, no tiene hecho nada. Entonces, después descubrimos que, ¿sabes? Que no estaba, o sea, me dijeron cuando lo compré que era la habitación principal. Entonces, yo no, ¿por qué no? Entonces me dijeron que tenía que traer pruebas. Eso estaba hecho antes de 2010. Entonces, yo reuní toda la prueba, la vecina, y traía dos testigos que tienen más de 16 años que tenía.
Okay, so when he bought the property, they told him that the garage was the master room, and then after he bought the house, they told him that it was a garage. So they also told him that.
Que buscara dos testigos que tuvieran, tú sabes, que tuviera hace muchos años ahí. Yo traje dos que tienen más de 16 años que vivían ahí, que es una vecina.
So when he bought the property, they told him that he needed to have at least 2 witnesses that live in the neighborhood for around 16 years. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so
the applicant handed up 3 affidavits.
Ujú. El aplicante dio 3 affidavits. Uno y dos, tres. What do you mean by that?
They were
He said.
submitted with that affidavit.
Dice que la mandaron esa affidavit.
You're expedited. You can expedite this
Who
application.
got these pieces of paper, right?
O tiene que decir.
Sí.
Bueno, se llama Carlos, el que está trabajando con mi caso.
Okay, the person who's working with the case, his name is Carlos.
Who is Carlos?
¿Y quién es Carlos?
Carlos Guzman. Carlos Guzman.
He's a representative.
Yes, that's correct.
These athletes all attest to the fact that the distance of the garage was the at 65, 32, was more than 18 years now. It was used for living purposes. We can living.
Can you repeat that again, please?
No, I'm reading the affidavit.
Okay.
These people say that the garage has been located
Mhm.
18 years for, and was finished for living purposes.
Okay, que él dice que esa persona que aplicaron ahí dicen que ese garaje se hizo por más de 16 años y que se hizo solamente para propósito de vivir.
Exacto, sí, que ahí, exacto, que ahí se funciona como una habitación que vive mi hermano con su esposa y su niño.
Yes, that's correct. In the studio, there's 4 person living there, which is our brother and his wife and 2 kids.
We have to know that it's been at least since 2010.
Y ellos tienen que saber que ha estado ahí desde el 2010.
Sí, porque que por eso yo te los testigos que tienen ya más de 16 años que viven ahí, que van a colaborar, que sí, que eso estaba hecho antes.
Yes, that's why we have 2 witnesses today with us that have lived.
Can you give us your name and address, please?
My name is Rene Espinal. The address is 55 Irving Street, Central Alaska, New York, 11722.
What was your name again, sir?
Rene Espinal.
Renee.
Rene Espinal.
R-E-A-E.
Espinal.
Yes,
And you speak English, sir?
a little bit.
Okay. It's a problem for you. How long, where do you live?
55 Irving Street.
And how far is that from 65 Irving?
It's close. It's together.
I'm sorry?
Almost together with the house.
Okay. And how long have you lived at your house?
Around 2006, and a little bit in the neighborhood.
2006?
Yes,
So how long have you lived at your current address?
26, 16 years.
Okay. And you're familiar with 65 Irving Street?
Yes.
And how do you know what it looks like inside 65 Irving?
Oh, because the neighbor, when I live in the house 65, he showed me. He say compartation, captain, beer, barbecue. He go inside the house.
And when was that?
Maybe 10 years ago. The last
And who lives in at 65 Irving currently?
the Shark is the name. I don't remember the name.
Right now, currently, me, I'm his sister, my brother, my mom, and we have 2 others. So we live in 6 people? Yeah.
And do you have any other witnesses you'd like to call?
Thank you, Mr.
My name is Jose Filippi. Filippi, Filippi.
Full address, please?
86 Irving Street. I've been living in the 86 for almost 8 years, and the other 8 years I'm living in 106.
And I know they have an apartment because previous to move to 86, I went to see the house because I knew the previous owner, they have the house for foreclosure. So I was trying to see if I can buy the house. So they let me go in and I see they have the apartment in the garage.
We're not presenting a question.
Thank you, sir. Not a problem.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard in this application?
Yeah, okay, thank you, sir. I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna go back. Because I see that everybody's here. Okay, we're going back up. My glasses are really bad tonight, so I'm not able to see who's present and who's not, but now I think we have everybody we need. Application number 300-23, adjourned from April 25, 2023. Dominic and Kelly Bertucci. Permission to elevate dwelling, leaving first floor elevation of 16 feet instead of permitted 15 feet. To erect decking with outdoor shower, leaving front yard of 19.58 feet instead of required 25 feet. Side yard of 10.3 feet instead of required 15 feet. To erect second floor decks, leaving front yard of 19.58 feet instead of required 25 feet. Side yard of 4.16 feet instead of required 15 feet. To modify roof deck, leaving side yard of 10.16 feet instead of required 15 feet. To erect shed, leaving front yard of 19.58 feet instead of required 60 feet. All having floor area ratio of 45.51% instead of permitted 30%. Residence BAA District, west side of East Lighthouse Walk, 180 feet south of Cedar Court, Kismet.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Michael Dunn. I'm the architect for Dominic Bertucci at 256 Orinoco Drive in Brightwaters, New York, 11718. I apologize for the short notice, but we are asking for an adjournment for more time to speak with the neighbors and come up with our affidavits from the neighbors and to change the call to more comply with the zoning.
Is there anyone else here on this application?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Anthony Guardino. I'm a partner with the law firm of Farrell Fritz. I represent Jeffrey and Barbara Heller, who are neighbors of Bertucci's. They live actually across the street, directly across the street. I'm kind of surprised to hear about the request for the adjournment and the basis for the request. I did watch the video from the April 25th hearing, and at that meeting, I recall the board adjourning to a date far enough out so that the Bertucci's could meet with the neighbors to try to work out the differences. I inquired of the zoning board. I thought maybe there were plans that I might have missed. There were no new plans. I can tell you the Bertucci's, neither the Bertucci's nor their architect has reached out to the Hellers. I know there was some discussion with the Epsteins. The Epsteins are only one of the opponents in this neighborhood. So, I mean, you're asking for an adjournment. I think he's just trying to buy time, buy some time here. I don't think he used the month, almost a month and a half that he had, or that they had, to actually accomplish what they say they need the time for tonight. If he speaks to us, he's not actually speaking to us. Well, he knows the Hellers are opponents of this project, and because there were documents that were submitted.
Were they originally represented by Mr. Glass?
No, Mr. Glass represents the Epsteins. I think that's the party that they were talking to, but there are the Hellers. I think there are the Pardos who also signed on to the letter of objection. Again, listen, if we can work it out, my clients are, they're very reasonable. They have objections basically to three things. One is the elevation, the extra foot of elevation. I want to get into it, but we could try to work. My point is, there are three things. If we could work out the three things, I think then everybody would be happy.
Well, you opposed them to German.
I'm not opposed to the adjournment per se. I just think it's a little strange how it happened, a minute before, the hearing. I just ran from Islandia to get here. I was told there was not going to be an adjournment, and but I know that. I fully understand that. I'm just,
I'm curious,
Yeah.
maybe what you've done. I mean, we understand that the agreement came in on the 30th. And my understanding is, we try to be fair to everybody. You knew before 1:30 today that you didn't have what you needed to do. Whatever it is you wanted to accomplish, you knew before 1:30 today, it's not accomplished. You knew last week. Why do you wait? Until 8 hours?
I apologize for the last hour. We thought we were there. We thought we were at the finish line, and there's a few details that still need to be worked out with the immediate neighbor. We made a lot of concessions, and everyone will see the concessions whenever we can have the next hearing, and you'll have the updated plans. Yeah, like last time I spoke to Gerard Glass, and we had a lot of positive back and forth, and I would do the same with Carolyn Fritz. Mr. Pepino.
Is that acceptable, Mr. Pepino?
Yes.
Right.
Again, I just wanted to know my frustration and my objection, but I mean, ultimately, it makes sense to try to work it out. Yes, if we actually will work it out. Again, it's a little funny to say that, I think a little weird to say that we're at the finish line. We didn't even get out of the gate with them because no one has actually started a dialogue with us. You have to remember that there's three families. To make a deal with one doesn't resolve anything with the other two.
Right.
Have you reached out to Mr. Pepino?
I have not. I was just retained
Right.
a couple of days.
Right, so now he knows you're here, so he'll talk to you. That's,
So do we have any kind of timeframe? Do we want to get back to us with the timeframe?
The only date I heard that was not possible from Dominic was June 20th, so anytime after June 20th would be okay.
Now, the last time we had this conversation, I think I made it clear that I really wanted to see the revised plan before we re-advertised and released a new public notice. So August 15 is the date that I would suggest.
Okay.
Have you seen the new revised plan?
I haven't. I think there was an attempt to send it today with the adjournment request at 1:30, but I didn't choose to see it at that time.
August 15th works.
Does that work, August 15?
When do you propose to favor up the copy of
I am going to say in about 2 weeks after I meet with all the parties.
the date on it? We're now
That works for June 25th.
favor Mr. Guardino with the copy?
Yes,
This way, Mr. Glass and Mr. Glass.
yes.
And this way, we'll do it.
That all sounds good. Thank you.
thank you. Second,
Thank you very much.
Application number 332-23, Victor Hercules and Yanira Hernandez. Permission to leave one-story addition, 10.3 by 11.1, having side yard of 10.9 feet and roofed over cellar entrance, having side yard of 5 feet instead of required 14 feet each. In-ground pool having rear yard of 9.2 feet instead of required 10 feet. pool patio having side yard of 4 feet and rear yard of 1 foot instead of required 6 feet each, and shed having rear yard of 1 foot instead of required 2 feet. Residence B District, south side of Hancock Street, 297.5 feet east of Knoll Place, Brentwood.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Jose Taveras, address is P.O. Box 1030, West Babylon, New York, 11704. T-A, V as in Victor, E-R-A-S as in Sam. No. So we're here tonight to try to maintain all these existing conditions that have been built without a permit. There are some clarifications which I want to make before we start, just so you're aware of what has happened since the publishing of this notice. The pavers around the pool, which have a 1 foot, you know that it is 1 foot, it's really 1.5 feet, but 1 foot to the property line. He has since cut that back from the fence approximately 4 feet, he says. We don't have a survey to reflect this yet, but he has cut it to 4 feet. And if that is the case, that gives us a 30-inch setback from the property line now, just so you're aware. The same with the shed. He says he moved it approximately 2 feet from its present location to the west, that is. So therefore, if that's the case, again, we have approximately 3 feet, 30 inches to 3 feet there, which I can't prove to you, but he's telling me that it's been moved. Yes. That's the addition, right? That's the addition. Correct.
So the code says everything needs to be set back 4 feet. They built at 10.9. And then they went even further out with the settlement, so they were tight.
Yes. I actually believe it was even less than that, but they cut it back to the 5.2. I haven't seen any precedent personally, just to say, in this area. I wasn't privy to speaking to anyone here.
Because if it's just 10.9 instead of 14,
So, I'm sorry to interrupt. The addition is 10 by 10 and behind an existing one-story garage, right?
Yes. What used to be the garage, but it's been converted as far as I'm
The
aware.
plan doesn't note where the addition is, unfortunately. Do you have a plot plan?
Yes. You don't have that?
I don't think we have the plot plan.
Okay, let me give you.
We didn't know you were representing the application.
No, this just happened. That's why I wasn't prepared. But I thought you had the entire set of plans also. You don't even have that?
Not I. Maybe the
Okay.
building department has it?
They should.
They're not here.
You want me to give you a small copy of them?
Yeah.
Well, that's just a site plan. I'm saying, do you want to look at the plans? The building plans themselves?
Sure, if you have a small set.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, correct. Unless he did everything. And another clarification, just in case, because I didn't see it on the hearing. There is if you look at the site plan that it proposed, an existing gazebo It is one of these movable gazebos that he put up there, but it's there next to the pool, just to the north, I guess, side of the pool. And I don't see that on the call out. Yes, it is 2 feet. Yes, okay, good. Now, with respect to that rear addition, yes, saying the fact that it's in line with the existing garage, we're hoping to say that that's not as egregious.
No, I've been looking, speaking to our chairman, it's not, an egregious scale. It's not
The roof over the cellar entrance also.
And on the cellar entrance, the roof is at 5.2.
Yes.
The cellar entrance itself is 8.7.
No, the cellar entrance is actually at 9'4", almost 9'5" inches.
Oh.
So it's about a 4.5 foot wide stair.
What is that 8.7 on
The 8.7 is the width of the roof overhang. Which leaves that 5.2 setback to the property line.
Do you have any questions?
It's just the roof.
Did you submit any pictures of the roof?
Photograph, I don't see the roof on
Do
here,
you
for the
have
cellar
some?
entrance. Two of your toys.
They need that.
No.
Jordan, can you look at one of these?
Yes, we can cut back and move over.
I think so.
So how many feet would that make that? Yeah.
Yes, we're willing to do that.
You think it's blocked right here?
Picture here on the cellar entrance in the background without a roof on it.
I don't know, it's maybe blocked.
It might have been done.
Yeah. See the wooden posts, Don? I think that might be it. You may not be able to see it. I don't know. Small.
It looks like they took that prior to building the roof.
I see the wooden posts though. I don't know what they would be holding.
Is he going to remove the roof?
He would like to keep it at where he has it, but he's willing to remove it at least up to to cover just the stair.
The in-ground pool has a new yard of 9.37 okay.
Right.
Pool patio having side yard of 4. What were you saying before about
That the pavers on the rear side of the pool that supposedly have the 1 foot setback,
Yeah.
he already cut that back. It seems like it's about 30 inches from the property line right now.
Before you said the fence, and the fence is 1.6 foot
The
south.
fence, yeah, because he says he cut it back 4 feet from the fence, but the fence is 1.5 feet south of it or east of it.
So you-
If he cut it 4 feet from the fence that's shown on here, it's 2.5 feet, yes.
So we're okay.
We're suggesting amend the rear yard setback for the pool patio to 2.5 feet.
And how about the shed, you said?
The shed, he's not exactly sure if it was 24 inches, but it seems like it's approximately 24 inches that he moved it from its present location. That would put it at 3 feet. But I would say leave it at 30 inches at least.
Do we need to remove the shed then?
No. He already moved it.
Yeah, it's in compliance.
Yeah.
It is now because,
Okay,
yeah,
so it's 3
it only
feet?
needs 2 feet. So yes, remove it from the thing because it is more than
It's in
2
compliance.
foot, yes.
Okay, as long as you're not measuring from the fence, because the fence is
No,
off
no,
the
from
property
the,
line.
no, he said he moved it approximately 2 feet from its present location, so it's already 1 foot away, so
Okay.
2 feet
So
will
we'll
put it
strike
at
it.
3 feet.
Yeah, so we're gonna remove the shed from the floor. And we're gonna change the rear yard to 2.5 feet
Yes,
instead of 1. And the roofed over entrance.
cut it back to just keep it
You wanna
over
cut it
the
back,
cellar
you
Cut
entrance.
that back, roof over
Yes.
entrance
Yes,
to the 9,
9.4 feet.
9.4?
9.4.
Yeah, that would be the setback. Yes,
Wouldn't you need a couple inches more for the post?
make it 9 feet.
Does that make sense? Because we're in the-
Yes.
Following your lead.
Work for me, right?
All right,
You got it?
so then,
Oh, yeah.
initially, one-story addition,
He's
10.3
hanging
by
out.
11.1, having a side yard of 10.9 feet, roofed over cellar entrance having side yard of 9 feet instead of a 5.14 feet each. In-ground pool having rear yard of 9.2 instead of a 5.10. Pool patio having side yard of 4 feet, rear yard 2.5 feet instead of required 6 feet.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Could I ask you one question just to clarify this? When you measure to the pool, is it to the coping or is it to the pool liner? Because this is to the coping, the 9.2 feet. And the coping is a foot. So that's what I'm questioning. Of the coping?
We have a pool guy, we have a pool guy who might be able.
No, because I'm saying if it's the pool, it should be to the liner,
We have
which is
this
the
gentleman behind
inside
you.
edge. Exactly. So then that.
That's not the way he drew it.
No, he measured to the outside of the coping. But that's where I'm saying, so he measured to the outside edge of the coping, not to the inside edge of the pool, and it's a foot, the coping, so that means it's 10.2 feet. So it means that we're okay.
Okay.
So we'll move it.
Okay.
So as I just stated before, motion to amend it.
Second.
No, I don't make a motion.
I made a motion. I thought you made the motion.
Okay. I'm in favor. So, anybody else who like to be heard on this application? All right, so now I'll take a motion on the amended.
Make a motion.
Wake up, everyone.
Go ahead, Dan. Dan, make a motion. Second.
In favor? All right. So the application-
Thank you very much. Okay.
You want this? It was going so well. That wasn't true. I guess we're not getting Chris. So, it looks like this is not joining us. So you didn't. You didn't. So. Oh, really? No. Oh, geez.
No.
What is?
Really?
I hear you conversing up there and,
You want to adjourn it?
yes, sir, if I may. See how things work out?
Oh,
We're talking about something else. You want to talk about something else?
Oh, okay.
You want-
Yeah. There's nobody.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, we'll just let him go.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to just do open adjourned and let me know when you're ready to go back on?
Whenever
That's
you're
fine.
ready.
Open, adjourn to an open date?
Sure.
Anybody else like to be heard on this application?
Make an application, we adjourn to an open date.
I was gonna,
I'll second. Oh, I can't, strike that.
I got that.
I'm not trying to. I'm gonna take the battery out.
Yeah.
It's my phone.
I know.
what,
Gonna put you, I'm gonna get your name stenciled on it. We'll give it to you when you retire. We'll give you a gold one.
you want my appearance just for the record? Do you care? You don't care?
Yeah, we'll know
Okay,
you were present.
thank you. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
An open date, you let me know?
You let me know. Bye-bye. Okay. So we have 12 accessory apartments to renew for a period of 3 years. 12 accessory apartments to renew for a period of 3 years. I need a motion and a
There's no
second.
denials.
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
And we just have 2 previously reserved decisions to read into the record.
No offer, 7 days.
Oh, I couldn't understand it.
No, no, I said today.
I know, but I got one in last week.
Forgive me because you'll jump around because we weren't expecting this.
It was, so, a little confused by them. It wasn't really, composition. Okay, it's for 46%.
Application number 185-26. Rosa Mazaregos and Edward Humanzer. In accordance with a proposed written decision dated June 6, 2023, the application is granted a renewal of the accessory apartment for a period of 3 years. On motion of,
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
application number 141-23, Jennifer Specchia. In accordance with a proposed written decision dated June 6, 2023, the application is granted with the board noting that the additional height is approved only for the proposed staircase enclosure. On motion of,
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
that's a wrap.
2 weeks. Meeting again. 3 weeks.
Wait, no, I'm getting all my dates confused. June 20, which is the day after a 3-day weekend. And, and then we go a little out of order because the 4th of July messes us up, okay?
Make it fun.